300.
100. Just a couple hundred.
134?
Like 310.
500?
I don't know, 80,
150.
I don't know, more than 100.
300 something.
50-ish?
50, which is quite a bit for me. I was surprised. I'm like, I didn't know I have 50 friends.
On Facebook, I've got about 500, a little over 500 friends. And on MySpace, I have about 175 friends.
Well, I think people are naturally curious about other people, and so they, Facebook and MySpace really give a way to really get a lot of information very quickly about another person. You can go to the profile, you can go through the photos, you can see who they know, who they've been dating, you can see who the ex-boyfriends are, ex-girlfriends, whatever. It's just a tremendous amount of information that normally would take a lot of time to get, and you can just get it immediately. So you end up knowing all this information about a person like either right after you met them or even before you've met them.
As opposed to, say, like meeting people at random through, say, like friends or in bars or wherever people meet people, it makes a lot of sense in as much as that you have a very clear picture of, this person is single and they like people of the opposite sex and they are into music that I like, and they actually like books, or they don't like TV, or the sorts of like fundamental compatibility things. Maybe, oh gosh, they're an Aquarius, stay away from them. So I think in a very kind of rational sort of way, it makes a lot of sense, but in a more kind of ethereal, like romantic sort of way, there's something a little bit disheartening about like, having to tell your grandkids like, oh yeah, I met your grandma on the internet.
When I first got my Facebook, I put my phone number up there. Just because I'm meeting so many new people, if they ever wanted to hang out, I thought it'd be a good idea just to put it up there so that they can call me. I know randomly I'm in the computer lab with a friend, we were both writing papers, and then a friend of theirs walked in and kind of said hi, and I met them kind of really quickly. Just didn't really think much of it, and then all of a sudden I get a phone call the next day from that girl that I just briefly met wanting to go to dinner with me, and so I didn't really want to go, so I told her no. And then throughout the next week and a half, she called me about 5 times a day because I just stopped answering her calls. And then eventually she stopped and I took my phone number off, but it was not very fun.
Yeah, I tried to use MySpace as an online dating service, but it was very disappointing. I looked up guys in my age range and that could be a good match. And I find this guy that, okay, picture looks good, sounds interesting, seems like he has a lot of interests that we could share and so on. And I sent him a message. It did take him 2 weeks to finally reply and say, okay, let's meet. And so finally we meet, and I find out that he's much older than what he looked like on his website.
After a morning of thinking it over, George decides to take the plunge.
Sorry. Hiya, Mildred.
Hi.
How'd you like Skip Davis's poster? Pretty good, huh?
Yeah, pretty good.
It ought to be a nice party, maybe with a floor show and all.
Yeah, sure will.
Would you like to go?
Huh?
I mean, would you like to go to the party?
You mean with you? Why, I guess so. That'd be okay. Sure. I'll have to ask at home, of course.
Okay, I'll check with you at school tomorrow.
Fine. Bye.
Say there's photos of me up with like a specific girl and it's tagged, and people see me with a girl on there, they immediately start to assume, oh, he's dating that girl, or he's with all these girls, there's photos with all these girls. And then you try to get a legitimate date with a girl, or you try to have a legitimate relationship, and they think, oh my God, this guy's such a playboy. He's with all these women all the time. And that, you know, may or may not actually be true, but it looks like it's true because of what's photographed online.
I hope she didn't put fake photos on her webpage and comes out to be really hideous. That would be awkward. But yeah, I mean, I think she'll be pretty cute. And she'll look distinctive enough that I probably won't have any problem picking her out once I see her.
Now here's a good way of selecting subjects for conversation. George is thinking about them beforehand.
I have to make sure I'm relaxed, because I can get a little bit nervous when meeting people for the first time, and so just, you know, be myself and you know, smile, I guess. And with her, well, I don't know, I just hope she's not a psycho or anything. But I don't know, just hopefully we'll kind of click and not have too many awkward silences and awkward moments, and just have a good time. We'll see.
Well, one of my friends actually had an entire relationship with somebody online, where they just they met online and they conversed for several weeks, because they did live in the same place, but they had this whole relationship with all these expectations. They were all excited about meeting each other online, and they thought, wow, this is going to be it. This is going to be like a big relationship and everything. And then when they actually met and they actually went out on a date, they ended up really having a horrible experience and getting into a big fight right immediately, which wouldn't be possible unless, in a way, they had already developed this sort of unreal relationship, you know, before they had even met. But then when they actually met, it just didn't work at all.
I think the online thing is not really the right thing to do, because people have tendency just to show their best side online. They can really be the person they want to be. It is evolving into something that's more like real life, because you can centralize all your life there. Which movies you like, the music you like, even like send gifts. It's really, right now it just became a lot of the real life, and all this has become applications. But yeah, that's the part I'm not into. I don't want it to be, I don't want to do things that I don't have time to do and do it through a website.
Yeah, I think some of the stigma is going away with this. I mean, I even know people that got married and they met on Match.com. So, you know, I'm sure it was a little bit awkward for them when they tell people their story, but it's becoming so common now that, you know, you don't have to be ashamed of meeting somebody online first. You know, going and meeting people out in bars is so intimidating, and most of the time they're the kind of people you don't want to meet anyway. So I think meeting someone online kind of says, yeah, you'd like to meet somebody, but I'm not the kind of guy that wants to go out and get wasted at bars and try to meet a girl to take home with. So this is another method of meeting people then.
My expectations about using a site like Facebook and MySpace are that I'm going to be able to interact with a ton of people all at the same time, and what I do on those mediums is going to influence how people perceive me. And it becomes almost like, it's almost like instead of watching TV or something, you're living in your own TV show. So your life becomes this kind of playful storyline that you're almost influencing for yourself. And that's kind of crazy on the one hand, because it's almost like you care more about what people think than what you're actually experiencing at that point. It's all a big show.
Well, here it is, the dance night. Bill is well groomed. That's the first step. His next problem is what to say when he gets to Helen's door. Bill wonders who's going to open the door.
How do you do? I'm Bill Jenkins. I've come to call for Helen.
Oh, yes. How do you do?
Nice
We've
start.
been expecting you.
It was interesting because, you know, once I met her and got to know her, she was different than the preconceived notion, the person I had built up in my mind of who she was. But that's to be expected. You make somebody out to be based upon their online profile, and of course in real life they're going to be somebody different.
My date was interesting. Actually, first time out. I never done online dating before, and I'm not really into that kind of fad, more into like one-on-one kind of person. But first date was very interesting. I thought that he sounded really confident online also, and he came off really, like he seemed nervous, and I got the impression that he was like really confident and like suave, but when I first met him, he seemed a little tense. I definitely would go out into another date with him because we had very common interests. He liked this similar kind of music, and I felt really comfortable around him.
George sees Mildred right to her door. Mildred remembers to express her appreciation.
Gosh, thanks a lot, George. I had a wonderful time.
Okay, I enjoyed very much too. See you in school.
Okay, good night.
Night.
And George remembers to wait until she's safely inside. And so George's first plunge into the social swim comes to a successful end.
So yeah, our date went pretty well. I had a good time, and I wouldn't mind seeing her again. I think I need to get to know her a lot more. Just on one date, you can't really get to know someone too much, even though I have the internet profile background on her. But I don't know exactly how she felt about me either. So I don't know what I should do. I mean, maybe I could leave a message on her profile and say that I had a good time. But I don't want to come off too strongly either, so maybe I'm not sure what I should do.